want to introduce to you a guy who you've seen here several times on our show and on the morning show, and certainly one of the probably proudest veterans that I've ever known. And we say good morning to Commander Mickey McCamish. Mickey, good morning,
Chip,
sir.
good morning.
Hello,
And Bree,
great to
good
have
morning.
you.
And thank you for having me this morning.
Absolutely. We always
Thank
love
you.
having you here.
What does
Thank you.
today mean to you?
Several things, Chip. It was a day that America became one family. It made no difference what political party you belonged to. It made no difference what race you were. It made no difference where you came from. We were united. We were one American family. And what we wanted to do is, how can I help? Whether that might be donating blood, or perhaps it could be joining the military, enlisting in the military, and fighting for freedom, so that another 9/11, so that an attack like that doesn't happen again.
Very good point.
So that's what it means to me. It means that we came together as one American family.
I wanted to ask you where you were when you got the news of September 11th.
I was in my board of directors meeting in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I had left the Navy. I'd retired in 1992. Following retirement in the Navy, I'd accepted a position in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I was president of a company there called Myrtle Beach Golf Holiday. And I was in a board of directors meeting that started at 8:30 in the morning. So at about 5 minutes of 9, people came in and said, turn on TV, look at the World Trade Center. And that's when I was first made aware.
Right, absolutely. And ever since then, you know, I feel like you have done just such a great job also in this community of just, you know, continuing to just support the veterans. And you've been in charge of a lot of concerts and so many different activities that just go back and support. And it's all about, I feel like you've continued to just give back, you know, even since that point. Do you feel like that just really compelled you to, after 9/11, to do so even more here locally?
It does. It made me want to go back on active duty.
Right.
And they probably would have had you.
And you know, it wanted. You had that feeling of what can I do? What can I do to help? And it caused me to say, hey, let's go back on active duty. We'll teach these son of a guns not to tread on us.
Right. You were telling me before we went on the air, you've been back to the site of the 9/11 attacks since that happened. What went through your mind then?
Well, I recall it caused me to recall when I was on active duty, and I was at beyond New Jersey, as a matter of fact. And I was invited to dinner in the World Trade Center in Windows of the World, which was on the top floor, 110 stories up or so in the World Trade Center. And I remembered that. I remembered the height, the beauty of the buildings, how you thought those structures were invincible. You could look out the window, and down below you could see the planes there on the East River. You could see them flying below you. There, you're up so high, and so you just felt so invincible at that point that you never dreamed of such an act occurring on our soil.
What went through your mind when you went back after the attacks, same site?
I could picture just the firemen, the policemen, the first responders rushing into the building, the trapping that occurred with the people up on the upper floors, and what some of them chose to do is they chose to leap out of the building as opposed to staying within the building. Yeah. All of those thoughts went through my mind. Almost 3,000 civilians lost their lives that day.
You know, and New York is one of the loudest places on earth, it seems like, until you go back to the site of the memorial and where the building stood.
Eerie quietness. Yeah, eerie quietness that exists, and the sorrow that exists there.
Were you here at the studio on that day? Were you working?
I was standing right over there. Rachel and I just gotten through doing the morning show when we were winding down. I was actually on the phone and watched the second plane fly in. And I was like, oh my God, this can't be happening. And all too sadly it was.
Yeah. And you know, I think one other thing from a military point of view of what 9/11, the aftermath of 9/11, is it's brought the military family into a lot more prominent viewing with our nation. You see the tearful goodbyes, but you also see the joyous reunions. And you know, when you have these surprise reunions, they're so impactful that you see because of the surroundings. And we also see those that have to deal with moments of despair, whether it be at Section 60 at Arlington National, or even here at our own Chattanooga National Cemetery, of the things that the families do go through. And I just think the military family has now been in a more prominent position within our nation than it was prior to 9/11.
And hopefully with a much more well-deserved respect.
Right.
I hope so too, Chip. I really do. I remember coming back from Vietnam and the treatment that we received when we came back from Vietnam.
It was terrible.
It was, and we just don't want that to happen again. That's one of the reasons, Bree, that I'm so involved with the community, and so that we don't allow that to happen again to the men and the women that are out there preserving freedom, and so just again, so that attack doesn't occur again, and that they do not experience what we experienced when we returned from the Vietnam War.
And if he has anything to say about it, they won't.
That's
Vicki,
right.
the service, our community and our veterans family is very lucky to have you as one of their big proponents. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
being
Chip.
here.
Thank you, Bree.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We're in for a quick timeout. There's more of Let's Chat after this.